Do you have items in your craft stash that are neglected and unused, but you can't bear to get rid of them? Welcome to Use It or Lose It, a weekly YouTube series where I'll dive into the products that you have lying around in your craft room and the products I have lying around in mine. After I've created something, I'll decide if I think I'll use it again or if it needs to give up that precious space in my stash, and I hope you'll play along. Hey guys, it's Jen, and I'm here with another Use It or Lose It video. Today we're going to talk about die cuts and die cuts that we've had in our stash and haven't been able to use. And I have mine kind of separated into these different categories of things about why or why not I would use them. And I wanted to go over those first before I show you a bunch of ideas of ways that you can use these die cuts. So I just went through my die cuts a few weeks back and went through and found all of the ones that I didn't think I would ever use. I have so much supply, and I just thought, let's go through and figure out what I probably won't use, even if I think it's cute. So these are the categories I kind of separated things into. This first one up here is animals and different things that are just a little bit tricky to get on a layout, especially if you like to be literal and if you never find the opportunity to use a peacock on a layout. That'll sit in your stash forever, or these fun little animals that I think are the most adorable thing, but what do I do with these? I don't really know. So there's that one category. The next category is like food and stuff. I never use these kinds of embellishments. I just don't quite know what to do with them. So I have a bunch of that kind of thing. There is this little bunch of stuff right here that is kind of really whimsical stuff, fairy tale kind of thing. Just stuff like a cat mermaid. I don't know when I'm going to use that, a permaid. I just don't know. I actually have used a mermaid on a layout, but for the most part, these are a little bit trickier for me to use. And then I have a couple of emojis. I don't know when I'll ever use the angel emoji. I do like using emojis, but the poop emoji, no, I'm not going to use that. This one is great. I actually love this, but I don't really want this to have a religious connotation. This came from an Illustrated Faith pack of die cuts. So what I would probably do in this one is just cover up that part of the book, maybe put a label or a word strip there so I can still use this. But there are other die cuts like that that maybe just don't fit with your lifestyle or whatever. I have other things too here. These are all a bunch of different things that they're motifs that I just don't see myself using for whatever reason. So for example, mushrooms, I don't see myself using that motif really. I have like a golf cart and a bunch of cars. I have this bless this nest. I just don't know what I would do with that. So these are a bunch of just different random die cuts that I'm like, these are cute, but I don't know what to do with them. I don't find myself using a whole lot of bike kinds of motifs. These are really cute, but I don't know what to do with them. They're kind of strange to me, but I do think they're cute. This is a particular quote that I'm not a huge fan of. Happy girls are the prettiest. And so that's one where I think this is cute, but I maybe this would be another one where maybe I could cover up the bottom of it. Anyway, so these are just a bunch of motifs that I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. A shopping cart or a little basket. I just don't know. And then down here I have a bunch of die cuts that I just have had in my stash forever, and I'm thinking if I haven't used these in this long, maybe I'll never use them, even though I still like them. So there's that kind of thing. And then lastly, I have this little pile right here, which are things that aren't really my style. I just don't super love the look of them. Like this little moon would be really cute if maybe that wasn't on it. The little nose, I just don't like that nose for some reason. Anyway, so these are just like a few things that aren't really my taste. And so that's kind of what I'm working with here. I am going to do a layout. At the end of the video though, I have a ton of ideas, and I'll show you layout examples of ways to use die cuts in different ways. But let's go ahead and get into the process of what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to come back real time here in just a second, but at the moment I am splitting everything up into colors, and you'll see why here right now. Okay, this is a bit of a mess, but I wanted to come back and show you what I'm going to try, and I haven't tried this before. There's lots of things I thought about doing, but I know I've done them all before, and so I wanted to do something different today. So what I did was I took a bunch of yellow die cuts and a piece of yellow scrap paper that I had, And what I just applied all of the die cuts, the yellow die cuts onto it. And what I'm going to try to do is punch it out and see what it looks like when I punch shapes out of it. And so this is something you could try. I don't know. I've never done this, so we're going to see together if this works or not. And maybe it won't even work because the punch doesn't want to go through all the layers. So I don't think that's my best bet, although I could just cut a circle from it. So let's try that. Okay, I'm trying to go along the lines of the actual punch. I think I made the worst circle of my life. You could probably do it with a die, but there's like a random little circle. Let's see if I can get another one. You could trace a circle onto it and cut it out because the punch isn't quite strong enough if you wanted to. But I was thinking I could do a bunch of these different colored circles and use them on a layout. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do wonky circles because that's how it's working out. But I'm going to take a bunch of colors and just cut some circles out because why not? So in this way, we're just kind of taking them by color and grouping them together that way. And by them all being the same color, it doesn't really matter what's on it. You're more seeing the color than what it actually is. And I think it looks cool to have these different textures and patterns. So I'm going to do that with all of the different colors, and I will come back and show you how I'll put it all together.
So I slowed down for just a second here so you could see me putting this together, but basically I'm just nestling all of the shapes together on a similarly colored piece of scrap paper just so that it all matches in case there are any open spaces. And then I'm just cutting them into wonky circles. So you can see here I have some pink ones, some aqua colored ones, and I've got random stuff on them. I've got donuts, I've got lips, I've got strawberries, I've got swans, a mermaid, a crown, birds, a bunny, just a bunch of different stuff that has been sitting around here for quite a while. And I'm doing a rainbow of colors. So I've got orange here, and I'll do purple. I don't do purple at first, but I will come back and do it later. And I will zoom out here in just a second too. I didn't realize I was zoomed in this close at the moment, but for right now, I'm starting with a white piece of cardstock, and I'm just arranging these in rainbow order, kind of trying to decide, look, you can see my narwhal there. Just trying to decide how I want to do this exactly. And doing a line of circles is kind of my go-to. It's something I've done a lot. You've probably seen me do it before. And so that's kind of where I am starting out here. And I'm just trying to decide how many of each color I can fit on the page. And in the end, I don't use all of the circles I cut, but I can use them again. So I decided instead of going on white cardstock, I would find a paper that I could use. And I happened to get this one the other day at my local scrapbook store from Simple Stories. And it is so pretty, and I needed some purple, so I'm just making myself a little purple circle here, and I used that cute little pigeon from Chamel's new collection. But you can see I've got all sorts of different things on there. There's a thermos, there's a mushroom, and that's really going to work for me for this layout of using up these random bits and pieces of die cuts. I feel like when you do things by color, it just really helps to, you're focused more on the color than on the actual icon. And I need all those icons to give me an interesting look, but that doesn't mean I have to waste die cuts that I really love. And you could do the same thing with stickers, of course. So what my plan is to cut this paper so I don't have to use the whole entire thing. I'm going to use white cardstock as well. I already glued my photo to that cardstock, which is 12 by 12. And so I wished I hadn't, so I could use my entire white background and just glue that striped piece on, but I didn't. So I am just going to piece it together. So I'm just using my close to my heart mat here to make sure I get it a full 12 inches and going to put that there. And then I believe I go and stitch this down, but I'll do that in a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up my circles to the color. Here I've stitched it down. I believe I'm going to bring you in for a close-up. So I stitched down the circles just with a couple of X's, and I got that idea from Missy Whitten. I've seen her do that before. And then I also stitched a line down where the papers meet. And I really love the way that it turned out. I think it looks really cool. It makes them feel like they belong there, and I think that the rainbow never gets old to me. So I decided for my title to use I wanted to use these iridescent, or what do you call them? Holographic thickers from crepe paper, because they kind of bring in all the colors of the rainbow. You can see pink, green, yellow, pink, I already said pink, purple, all the colors. You can see all the colors. And so I thought it was the perfect font. And then for my subtitle, I'm using these Amy Tangerine letter stickers, which are so cute, from her sticker book from her new collection. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I don't remember, but Peachy Cheap had a deal the other day to get like 4 or 5 things from her new collection for $10, and it was a good deal, so I bought it. Even though I'm trying not to buy new things because I don't need anything, but I did. Anyway, I did those in rainbow order as well. So you can see it goes from purple to blue, to green to yellow, red, pink, and purple again. So I really love the way that worked out, and I think it fits in there really nicely. And there was an @ symbol as well. So my title is The Swings at Secret Park. Me and my bestie, excuse me, this is a photo of me and my bestie there's a park. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Sorry about that. I had to grab a drink. It's still a little bit scratchy, so hopefully you'll forgive me. But this is a photo of me and my bestie on the swings at this park that's kind of nestled in between some houses in my neighborhood. We call it the Secret Park. At least that's what my daughter calls it. But I just wanted to talk about, there was a while there that we were just to get out of the house, walking to the park and swinging or reading books or whatever, and talking, having some good chats. So I am looking through the rest of my die cuts that I had pulled a couple weeks ago. I posted it in my Facebook group. If you're not part of the Crafty Use It or Lose It Facebook group, head over there, because there are lots of people sharing things all the time about ways they're using their stash, and it is fun. And I posted a picture of all the die cuts that I had pulled in case anyone wanted to get a jump start and pull their die cuts so they could play along. And then I ended up not being able to get to the video right away. But I am looking through that pile of die cuts and trying to see what I can use to embellish this layout. And there's lots of stuff in there that's usable for sure. And so I'm just pulling out some black and white things because I think that will be a good contrast to all of the rainbow. I first found this little border strip. It's from Ellie's Studio, from I think their Live, Laugh, Love collection from a few years back. But I thought that would be a good rainbow border to stick under my photo. And now I'm going to look for black and whites and grays to kind of add in here. So I wanted to add a couple more circles. So I've got one kind of in between the teal and green, and then I've got one at the top that says yay. It's white. And then I'm going to try to find a few more. And so these were not in my die cut little stuff, the stuff that I just pulled, but they are chipboard pieces I've had in my stash for quite a while, and they're circles and they're black and white, so I thought they would work perfectly. They are old from Studio Calico, and I am going to put one next to my title, and then I'm also going to sprinkle a few around those circles. I also decide to pull out my absolute favorite Bella Boulevard heart stickers. I have them in every single color. I don't know if you can still buy them somewhere, but I did get the green ones on scrapbook.com. My local scrapbook store, well, one of my local scrapbook stores has all of the colors, and so every time I go, I try to grab another one. So I'm just using one heart in each color and kind of filling in some of those gaps and spaces. There is a bigger space up at the top left, and I will fix that here in a minute. But I'm going to keep playing around and seeing what else I want to add in between my circles here, just to give it a little bit more interest with some different sizes. So I am going to grab one more circle. I think I want one more at the top, and then I'm going to make one go off of the top and one off of the bottom. So that it just pulls everything clear from above all the way down to the bottom. Sorry, words, guys. I can't speak words. I'm going to put the little, I put one next to the beginning of the title as well. And now I'm going to just quickly fill in my journaling. I wanted to just write about this little story here. And I am just kind of filling in that space between the photo and the bottom of the page. And I want to leave some white space here. When you have a lot of stuff going on, I think it's really important to leave some space for your eye to rest. And so that's what's going to be, it's mostly going to be restful around the top and side. So I am grabbing out my Here For It stamp set, and I love this stamp set. I'm stamping the words love, love, love. And then I'm also going to stamp a scribble from the stamp set, and I decided to stamp it in a purple color to match kind of where it fits in on that rainbow. And I like the way that looks. This stamp set is actually sold out, but I am going to reorder it. So be checking back at my website if you are interested in that. And I'm also using the rainbow. I think that's what I called it. My rainbow stamp set. There's some little phrases in there, and I'm just stamping them in black around the circles too. And that one is actually also sold out, so I apologize for using that. But everyone should be, who pre-ordered the stamps, should be getting them very, very soon. I also stamped the date with black ink, and then this layout's pretty much done. I think I'm going to add one more circle at the bottom. Like I mentioned, I wanted to go off the top and off the bottom. And then maybe some sprinkles. I can't remember if I add some splatters or not. Oh, this is what I do. There was a space I mentioned at the top, and it was bugging me. So I decided to add in this doily, which has been in my stash forever. It's from Amy Tan. And I stapled it down as well. And then in order to bring the staples down to the bottom of my layout, I stapled on the border too. So I wanted to add another doily, but I didn't want the white on white, so I decided to use my doily as a stencil and spritz some yellow, since yellow is close to the colors at the bottom. And I'm happy with the way that turned out, although because I put that paper there is a clear and defined line where the spritz ended, so I'm just using a water brush to fill in the color a little bit, and then I added some kind of bluish green at the top just so that it fades in the same colors that are on the rainbow paper. So here are a couple of close-up photos of this completed layout. I hope that you enjoyed it. I have lots and lots of examples of other ways to do this technique, and I'm going to go quickly, so stay with me. We've got a few more minutes of me chatting about ways you can use die cuts. So here's the first. Use them for something you're going to give away. This is a mini album I created for my nephews. They love animals. It's great for kids. It was perfect for this little album for them of pictures of themselves. I also think cards are a really great way to use die cuts that you're not sure how to use. I feel like cards could have anything on them. So I think that this is a great way. You can see I used several dogs. I also used some embellishments that had fruit on them and different things. Just little die cuts and embellishments that I wasn't sure quite how I would use them, and they worked perfectly for this. The next thing I would say is to use things in small doses, and again, with kids, you can get more free with kind of animal embellishments and things like that. So here I've just used a couple, and they look really cute on this layout because they're just popped in here and there. It's not super noticeable. It's a very small embellishment. Here again, this is a photo where you're using context. So this is me as a baby, and when you think of babies, you often think of elephants, so I felt like the elephant worked really well here, even though that came in like a circus themed pack of die cuts. So that works well. Here's another instance where I used kind of like the mood and feel of the layout. So there's a giraffe on here, and my friend is standing on a ladder, which makes her taller, and so it just kind of felt like it went. You don't always have to be literal, and you can definitely think outside the box a little bit. This is one of my favorite things. I actually used a bunch of die cuts I wasn't sure how to use. I used them kind of exploding out of the back of a photo, so I used them kind of as a photo mat. And they're just a bunch of die cuts I wasn't sure I would ever get to, and I think that's a really great way to do it. You're thinking more about the color again on this one. Here I used a bunch of large numbers as a background, so that's a great way to use something large or tricky to use. This one I love. I used a rocket ship and an umbrella, and this page has nothing to do with rockets or umbrellas, but I'm talking about holding my nephew while he sleeps. And when you sleep, you dream, and umbrellas and rockets both felt like they were in the sky and the air, the dreams, the clouds, it all worked. Another thing I like to think about is when you find a theme that does, or a photo that does work with a certain theme, use everything. So on this layout, I used all of the stuff that had to do with beaches and out stuff like that on one layout, and it works really well that way. This is another case where I did that. I don't have a lot of food photos, but this one at the grocery store, I threw all of the food embellishments at this one, and that's a great way to use them up and create impact. I really love the way that it turns out when you just kind of nestle them all together like this, and again, it creates impact, and you're also able to use up that embellishment. This is something that I haven't done in a while, but I love doing. This is actually stickers, but you can do the same thing with die cuts, which you'll see on the next page. But basically, I glued them all to the background, I put gesso over them, and then I did some mixed media on top of it. And you're just getting the shape of it rather than what the die cut actually is. Embellishing in a rainbow order is always a good idea, and you're able to use a lot more different kinds of embellishments this way. Also, this layout is about my daughter and the things that she draws and dreams up, so that way I could get a little bit more into those fairy tale kind of embellishments. This is a layout I created with some random facts about me, and I used some wood veneer pieces that I thought were going to be tricky to use. Pretzels, I don't know when I would use that. I found a relationship to each one of those embellishments. I love soft pretzels, so I just talked about 10 random things about me that went with that. Oh, whoops, I added this photo again, but here you can just see it for another second. All of those embellishments on the background, gesso on top, and then mixed media, and you just get the shapes. Here's another look at the random die cut circles we created today, and I plan to keep my little pile of random die cuts on my desk for a few weeks and see if I get any more used up, and then I will get rid of them after that, give them to my daughter or a neighbor or a friend or something like that. So I hope that you've enjoyed. So will you take up the challenge? Join us on Facebook in the Crafty Use It or Lose It group and tag your photos on social media, #CraftyUseItOrLoseIt. Can't wait to see what you create. So, what do you have to use or lose? Leave a comment and you may see it in an upcoming episode. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future Use It or Lose It videos. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.